Hi and welcome to a Kirby Maths video all about converting units of area. So before we start converting units of area, we need to remind ourselves of a couple of metric conversions between units of length. So we need to know that 10 millimeters is 1 centimeter, 100 centimeters is 1 meter, and 1,000 meters is 1 kilometer, and we're going to use those things to help us do these conversions. So I am going to convert 4 centimeters squared into millimeters squared, and we do this by always drawing what I call a Kirby diagram. It's not really my diagram, but it's always helpful to give it a name, and it is a square, and you put in some measurements on the square and it helps you with the conversion factor. And I found that if you draw this square every single time you do a conversion, then you rarely get the answer wrong. I'm going to start off by converting 1 centimeter square into millimeters squared, and I do that by drawing a square and writing 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter. That is 1 centimeter square. And I'm going to convert that into another square exactly the same size, except this time I'm going to use this length conversion. And this is now 10 millimeters by 10 millimeters. And that means that my conversion, 1 centimeter square, the area of this, 1 times 1, is the same as the area of this, which is 10 times 10, which is 100 millimeters squared. So my conversion factor, if I want to go from centimeters squared to millimeters squared, I'm going to times by 100. If I want to go back the other way, then I would be dividing by 100. Okay, so centimeters squared to millimeters squared times by 100, because I've just worked that out. If I'm going from millimeters squared back to centimeters squared, then I would divide by 100. So back to my initial question then, 4 centimeters squared in this case, I have to times by 100 is 400 millimeters squared, and that's my final answer. And if you draw this square diagram with the two squares and the dimensions on them, then it will help you not make the mistake of simply timesing by 100 or timesing by 1,000, which is a common error to make. So let's have a look at another example. If I have 5,000 millimeters squared and I want to convert that into some centimeters squared, you can see in this first example, when I'm going from centimeters to millimeters, I'm timesing by 100. And then if I'm going back the opposite way, millimeters to centimeters, I'm dividing it by 100. So on my calculator, or in my head, I would do 5,000 divided by 100, which is 50. So the answer to that would be 50 centimeters squared. And finally, I'm going to do another example. So that's number 1, number 2, number 3, where I'm going to convert this time 3 meters squared into some amount of centimeters squared. And because I haven't done this conversion with my Kirby diagram, I'm going to draw that diagram and it will help me do the calculation. So 1 meter squared is 1 meter by 1 meter. That's 1 meter squared. And I'm going to convert that into the same dimensions, but this time it's 100 centimeters by 100 centimeters. So 1 meter squared is 100 times 100, which is 10,000 centimeters squared. So for this conversion, if I'm going from meters squared to centimeters squared, I need to times by 10 10,000. So this 3 times 10,000 is going to be 30,000 centimeters squared. And that really illustrates why you need these two diagrams to get straight in your brain what your multiplying or dividing number is. Right, I'm going to write down 6 questions now. I'm going to show you 6 questions, and I would like you to pause the video, have a go at doing those questions, and then unpause the video and I will go through them. So here are the questions. I would like you to pause the video, have a go at the questions, drawing your Kirby diagram each time, and then unpause the video and I will go through it. Okay, back in a mo. Okay, welcome back. Right, 5 centimeters squared to millimeters squared. Now I'm going to pretend that I haven't done the first part of the video already. So I would be writing down my Kirby diagram, which would be 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter, and that is going to 10 millimeters by 10 millimeters. So 1 centimeter squared is equal to 100 millimeters squared. So I need to times by 100 to get from centimeter squared to millimeters squared. So if I do 5 times 100, that would be 500 millimeters squared. I've already got my conversion here because I'm going again from centimeters squared to millimeters squared. I've just done my Kirby diagram for that. So at this time I'm going to do 0.2 times 100, and you can do that on your calculator if you like. 0.2 times 100 is 20, so this would be 20 millimeters squared. On the third question, I'm going from millimeters squared to centimeters squared, so I'm going the wrong way for this conversion. So I'm actually now, instead of timesing by 100, going to divide by 100 to go from millimeters squared to centimeters squared. So I'm going to do 6,000 divided by 100, and that is 60 centimeters squared. On to the next one. 2.3 meters squared into centimeters squared. Now I haven't done a Kirby diagram for meters squared into centimeters squared, so I'm just going to do one quickly. 1 meter by 1 meter into 100 centimeters by 100 centimeters. So 1 meter squared is 10,000 centimeters squared. So I'm going to have to times by 10,000 in order to convert from meter squared into centimeter squared. So 2.3 times 10,000 is 23,000 centimeters squared. On to the next one, kilometers squared to meters squared. Again, I have not done a Kirby diagram for converting kilometers squared to meters squared, so I just knock one up quickly. So 1 kilometer, same size space but measured in meters, would be 1,000 meters, 1,000 meters. So 1,000 times 1,000 is 1,000,000. So in 1 kilometer squared there are 1,000,000 meters squared. If I've got 3 kilometers squared, I need to times it by 1,000,000, so it would be 3 million meters squared. And finally, if I'm going from kilometers squared to meters squared, this time I need to divide by 1,000,000. So that's 6 hops back this way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that would be 0.45 kilometers squared. Okay, so just make sure that if you are doing a conversion that you remember to do your Kirby diagram because it will help you get the conversion factor correct, because there is a temptation to divide by 2 or times by too small a number, especially if you look here, kilometers squared to meters squared, when we're actually going to have to times or divide by 1,000,000. Okay, and we probably don't think we have to use such a large number for that. Thanks for watching.